We are back with another episode of Go Teen Writers Live. We have loved watching you guys interact with each other on our Friday prompts, and we are really excited about some of the questions that we've gotten this time around. Shannon?
Well, our first question comes from Faith, and this is what she says. When you're a teen, should you try writing things in adult genres? I know most teens write in the YA genre or maybe middle grade, but I had a great idea for a story recently that because of the ages of the characters would probably do better as a new adult book. I was wondering if I should wait on this until I have more experience in life to try and write a non-coming of age epic fantasy story. It's a good question, Faith. Jill, what do you think?
So that means she wants to write a coming of age epic fantasy story? Is that what she means?
Yeah, I think she's just not sure if she's writing in the right age group.
Okay, well, here's what I say. I say, write whatever you want. Get your first draft down. If the story's nagging you, then get it down. Write the thing and out about who you're going to sell it to tomorrow, because you're not there yet, and that will just distract you from doing a good job. So write your story, enjoy the process of writing your story, and when you're at the end of it, then you can go back in and look at, are there things here? You'll know, were there things that you didn't know how to deal with? But if you're true to your characters and you're writing grown-ups and you're true to your plot, then you're probably going to be okay. You're just not going to include things that you don't understand because you don't understand them. You're not probably even going to realize that you're not including them because you're just dealing with the characters in the story. And later, when you finished it, and if you love it and you've rewritten it and you give it to some beta readers and they start drawing these red flags and say, wow, this is a problem, then you can deal with that. But they might not, because you're just writing a story and you're staying true to characters that are real people. If you spend time investing in those characters, I think you'll be fine. That's my 2 cents. Let's see here. Another thing I wanted to say, out about issues that might be targeted in a certain age group. Just don't write those issues. Write something that you can relate to. You can relate to somebody lied to you, or somebody gossiped about you, or whatever. And adults deal with that stuff too. So you don't have to pick an issue that fits an age group that you think is important. Just don't deal with it. Deal with your plot and your story, and worry about the rest later.
That's good. What about you, Steph? What do you think?
Well, I think that it's similar to a lot of other things that we write about. So like with The Lost Girl of Astor Street, I've never had a best friend go missing, and I've never lived in the 1920s, but I can do a lot of research and I can tap into emotional experiences I've had that are similar. And from that, I can creatively imagine what that would feel like. So I think it's similar when you are writing for an age that you haven't yet been. You don't know what it's like to be an adult yet, but you do know what it's like to take on increased responsibility, and you can imagine creatively. Now, that said, when I was a teenager, I was really obsessed with writing stories about pregnant teenagers. That was just a topic that fascinated me, but I'd never been pregnant. So I would imagine, and I would research, and I would do my best. And even the Skylar Hoyt books have a pregnant teenager in them. So when I started that series, I had never been pregnant. And then when I was doing my last revisions of it, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I had a lot more experience, and I knew what it felt like to be pregnant. And there were things in my draft that I went back and I changed because of that. So like Jill was saying, there is going to be stuff that you get wrong, or that you don't know, or that you don't know that you don't know. And that is what you can use your betas for. You can ask people who have experience with that. It'll just be relying on others for that help.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know that I have a lot of new things to add to what Jill and Steph have said, because they've been, those are really good answers. The thing I did write down when I was reading this question is that you might be underestimating how long it takes to write a novel. When you start, certain things may be completely out of your out of the circle of things you know. But as you continue to draft, as you continue to edit, I bet your novel picks up layers because you're growing along with your story. And so I, like Jill said, write what excites you. For crying out loud, there's not a lot of ideas that are going to grab hold of you initially and say, write me, write me, write me. And if you have one, honor that and sit down and write it. You're not going to know everything. We don't know. I mean, I'm a grown up. I've had two. I don't know everything. You know, like Steph was talking about teen pregnancy. I've had 2 kids, and yet I don't know everything there is to know about everyone's pregnancy. Your influence, let me change that. Your experience in life is going to influence your writing. And your story is going to be different than anyone else who maybe had the exact same idea. So I think go with it. Let your story grow as you do. And I think you'll like the outcome of growing alongside your story. I think you really will appreciate the depth that it has, because it has different yous through the years kind of crammed in there. That's my thought. What do you think? Should we do the next question?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so the next one is from Katie Marie, and I'm going to kind of shorten it because she's got a paragraph here that helped us, but would probably ramble for you guys. She says, my question concerns my target audience. I intended it to be a YA novel, but as she's been looking further into the market, she's discovered that her characters are slightly older than what people may think they should be for YA. Everything else feels like it would be good for YA, but she's wondering if she should still count it as that, or if she should classify it as a different genre, maybe older, maybe NA, which is new adult. What do you think, Jill?
Did she say she'd finished it, or she's just working on it?
I think she's
working on it. I wouldn't stress about it. Again, just write the book. College age, in my opinion, is YA. I mean, it depends. Sometimes usually YAs are seniors in high school if it's contemporary, and they can be like freshmen in college. It's kind of a weird thing. Technically, most YA novels are read by middle-aged women, and so they created new adult as this kind of, I don't know, new thing. And I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I feel like it's a flash in the pan. I could be wrong. I feel like people are going to read books that are popular, and they'll read. My husband has read some young adult books. I mean, people are going to read books that are popular. So write your story, and when you pitch it to people, when you get to the point you're ready to pitch it to people, you're going to be looking for editors who are looking for the genre of your book primarily. Your audience isn't all that different. So I don't know. I'm a writers conference person, so I always pitch. I always have pitched at writers conferences, and I'm always talking to people who are pitching at writers conferences, and you're limited to the editors who are there or the agents who are there. And so they all are willing to listen to your pitch and your story and talk to you. And the thing is, every publishing house and agency is different.
Yeah.
So a publishing house might publish YA, they might publish new adult. They might not care and just publish that type of a book in whatever they have. If they have YA, they might publish what would be considered a new adult book in the under YA because they love it. What my point is, write the book the best writing you can. And if an editor's looking at this book, or an agent is reading your story and it's jumping off the page and it's amazing, they're not going to care if your character's in college or a senior in high school. They're going to care about the fact that this book is amazing. And then they might, if they want to buy it, they might be like, well, you know what, this doesn't quite fit. Would characters be a little younger? Or could the characters be a little older? Or they'll work with you on that if they love your book. That's what I think. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have different advice, actually. So when I think of college age characters, I typically think new adult. But, as far as I know, there's no shelves at Barnes & Noble for new adult books yet. Right. And my limited understanding of new adult is also that it refers to content as well, that it's a way to classify little racier content than a typical YA novel. Do you guys, that's my perception. Do you guys think that's true?
I think it's the perception.
Okay. And that's not to say that all new adult books have that content. That's just, that's something that can identify or that can flag it as a new adult book. But I mean, young adult is the hotter genre. It's a broader readership. And I don't think college age characters would age you out of it completely. So like Jill said, I think focusing on writing the best book you can. And then if you are at a conference or you come across an agent who's looking for YA or new adult, then you can kind of go either way with it, and they'll advise what they think you should do. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I think I would say the girls have kind of said this as well, that NA is still new. It's been around a couple of years, but it's still so new that everyone just has this perception, unless you're actively writing it, and I don't think the three of us are. We don't know a ton about what publishers are looking for in that area, but like Steph said, it's going to be shelved probably in the YA section. So that tells you just how close those two genres really are. I'm going to kind of answer this just in a slightly different way, because I ran into a similar problem as this. I didn't run into it while I was drafting by any means, but after a book I was working on was fully completed, went to my agent, she loved it, and put it out on submission, we started getting some feedback that it was reading a little bit older than YA. Now, my characters were still YA age. They were still in their teens. But for whatever reason, the voice was reading older. And my agent and I were both a little bit flummoxed, because we didn't see that. It didn't jump off the page at us. But I had to really stew on it and think, look, if I want to pitch this to YA editors, I've got to figure out some kind of adjustment to make. And all things pop into your head. You think maybe I should add more pop culture references, and God, no, and what do I do to make it feel, and it was this, and it kind of came down to me, to the motivation of my character, my main character. She's not doing things that are inherently adult, but maybe why she's doing them feels older. And I kind of had to just think very difficult, make that hard decision. Like, maybe I need to adjust her reasoning, why she's going to do these different things, and kind of just go at it from a different angle. So if, to kind of, depending on how we take your question here, we could answer it in a lot of different ways. But my thought would be, if you do feel the need to age your characters down, maybe instead of trying to do that in their clothing or in pop culture references or in your setting or where they go, or even what they do, maybe consider their motivation and why they're doing what they do. And most teens do very similar things that adults do, but they do it for very different reasons. And those reasons are informed by their lack of knowledge, kind of like we addressed in the question before. Their brain is still developing, which is a weird thing for teens. It's not even fully developed till you're in your mid-20s. So maybe address motivations and that whole why question. That would be my answer.
Those are good thoughts. Jill, did you have anything to add, or should we wrap this episode up?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. That was awesome.
Great. All right. Well, we will see you next time on Go Teen Writers Live. Thanks, guys.
See you later.